Hello, and welcome back to Writing with Witches, the podcast where a couple of witches sit around and talk about writing. And today we're going into the delightful territory of adding sensory details to your writing.
Yes, I do love that.
We do too. I do too. Not we. Anyway.
I mean, it's not true.
That's fair. Well, I was referring to Hector, of course. There we go.
Yes,
That makes sense now.
that's all the sensory of gold.
Before we get into that, my name is Leona Urbanski. I'm an author with my first novel that came out in April, Fire Magic, Book 1 of the Death May trilogy, and my second novel coming out in September, Fae Touch, Book 1 of the Silver Eye series. My co-host is...
I am Nicole Autumn. I am the author of the completed Secret Society series and working on my next book that will be coming out in 2027. Ta-da! So, should we hop into book news?
Yes, my brain went like glitched.
It paused. It was like, still have not, I will say, I still have not gotten a lot of writing done this week. But I did just get done editing the audio short story. And by the time this comes out, it should be out for 2 weeks at this point. So if you haven't read my short story, Rise of the Fallen, and would like to listen to it, head over to a Mythweaver's YouTube channel, and you can listen to it there.
Indeed.
Yeah. And at this point, I should also have a new short story out, so make sure you sign up for newsletters so you can get the short stories directly to your email. There.
Nice.
Any book news for you?
I am in the slogging step of the edits for Fae Touched because I'm getting into the political intrigue, which is not my forte. So it is a struggle, and Nicole handing me supermarket chaos on a silver platter is not helping.
I'm so sorry. Sometimes you have to organize the chaos somewhere. You know, when life gives you chaos, you have to organize it in a grocery store, apparently.
Apparently. So yeah, working through that is my top priority right now. I will also have the short story out by the end of July. Yeah, we'll just keep chugging forward and yeah.
Just keep
I'll
going.
get there. I'll
Eventually.
get there. I still have time. ARCs will have already been sent out by the time you all have seen this. So if you signed up for an ARC, you should have already gotten it.
Yeah.
So that's all I have to say.
Cool. All right. I got distracted by my dog.
I noticed. It's fine.
So to jump into this week's episode, we're talking about adding sensory details. And some of the benefits of that would be... Wait. Rain?
You forgot to read the outline first, didn't you?
I did. I was like, wait, what does that say?
Backtrack for a second.
Backtrack for a second. But there are benefits to adding sensory details, some of which it kind of just helps ground your, which this is not on there. I mean, kind of. It helps ground your readers in what your characters are doing. Oh, already.
We thought this would be an easy glide episode, and our brains are denying that.
Already. Already, I have tripped, stumbled, and face planted.
I've glitched.
Yeah, it is what it is. So if you would like to take the first point and hopefully make more sense than I can, go for it.
Okay, so this isn't I'm backtracking a little bit on what do we mean when we say sensory details. It's kind of the bread and butter of your book, honestly. It's what your characters see, hear, taste, smell, or touch. And it's describing all of those senses. And we are going to go into each sense in detail further on down the outline. But I just want to be clear that it is how your characters are perceiving their world. And like she said, that immerses the reader into the story. That helps in both written and in audio because it makes it easier for them to understand where they're at. You know the fun meme of reading is just hallucinating while looking at pages of dead trees. This is where the hallucination part comes in.
Yeah, definitely.
It is giving you what the character is seeing, hearing, feeling, touching, tasting, so that you can pretend it's you experiencing that.
Yeah.
Does that make any sense?
It does. Immersion. The whole point of sensory details overall is immersion. You want
Yes.
to give your readers every detail that could possibly suck them into the story. And a lot of the times, it is sensory details. The way a fabric feels if they walk into a room, or the temperature. If they walk outside and it's freezing cold or sweltering hot, most people can relate to that, and it's easy for them to kind of fall into the story when you're giving these type of details.
Mm-hmm. This is Alice going down the rabbit hole.
Yes, exactly.
You are falling into the story.
Exactly.
Don't bump your head.
And that's ultimately what you want, right? You want your readers to get so sucked into what they're reading about that it becomes a full immersive experience. That's what I think most authors strive for, unless they don't write fiction.
Even the narrative nonfiction that's been coming out has definitely been more adding more sensory details, factually, of course, but and also autobiographies. A lot of people will write it from adding sensory details beyond just telling what they saw or heard. There's a lot of them.
Yeah.
I'm experiencing that a lot right now, considering a lot of the books I'm reading took place in the concentration camps in World War II. It's a little intense.
Oy, oy, oy. No, thank you. Great information.
I don't know. Yeah, no.
But I don't want to read something that will make me feel like I'm living through that. No, thank you.
Yeah. Rough. Anyway.
I guess my head went more towards like informative pieces, as in like self-help books or
That's fair.
stuff like that, where there isn't necessarily sensory stuff that's going on. But to each their own, I guess. But yeah, that I feel like that's the ultimate goal. Immerse your readers fully in the world that you've created. And one of those is sight. Sight, I feel like, is pretty easy. Most of the book, you're telling them what you're seeing. Like, that's the whole thing. Like, it's easy to do that because that's the point of the book, telling them what you're seeing. But you can still fall short on this if you don't do world building or do your setting correctly. So if you want to really do that, take the time to explain certain things. Like, what does the room look like? What does the town look like? Is this like a gothic looming castle-esque type building that you can feel dread as soon as you look at it? Or are you in a nice sunny meadow where the sun reflects off the grass and you can just feel the warm, cozy feeling like it's a fun commercial? People frolicking in the meadow. You know what I mean? A Tampax commercial.
There we go. That's where I was going. Whole time.
So explaining what your character is physically seeing and tying that to maybe an emotion that they're feeling is really impactful in your characters, or not your characters, your readers feeling immersed in what is around them.
And part of the writing craft that really comes into play with this, and admittedly, it should come into play no matter what sense you're utilizing. I'm referencing sight because that is the one, like we said, most commonly referenced and used, is watch your word choice, watch your syntax. You don't want to have a lot of repetitive words. This is where you look up synonyms and similes and metaphors to give people, especially if you're in an epic fantasy novel and you're describing something that doesn't exist in our world. You got to give us an idea of what to compare it to so we know what it looks like.
You got to get real creative.
If you're describing a dragon, you know how many different types of dragons that we have made up in our mythology? Be specific.
And then there's the whole dragon debate. Like half the dragons we say are dragons aren't dragons.
That is true.
So there's that too.
So anyway, so don't constantly be using the same name for a color. You can use blue, navy, robin egg, robin egg blue, pale blue, dark. Be more specific. Now, if you're going to describe, there, if you're going to describe something once, it's fine to use a simple word for it. But if you know that this thing is going to be coming up again and again and again, the more specific you are, the more the reader is going to be able to imagine what you're saying to them or what you are writing for them to see in their imaginations.
Mm-hmm.
So if you say it was a blue sky, was it a dark blue? Was it a light blue? Was it a purpley blue? Was it actually a greenish blue because there's a tornado coming? Be
Ooh.
specific.
Yeah. There's definitely that. Or is it like a blue that we've never seen before? Maybe it's
Yeah.
iridescent and shimmers. Like, we don't know. You got to tell us and be specific.
Yeah. So if it's a passing reference, it's fine to use a simpler word that isn't going to come up again, that isn't important. But if you're describing something that is very important, I'm reading the Unicorn Chronicles by Bruce Coville right now. I'm on the third book. This man has so many ways to describe unicorns. It is amazing, and I love it. Um, just just from the name, you should know there's a lot of unicorns. These books. Um, so you just totally derailed my brain.
Sorry, I wasn't expecting you to look at it right that second. There was a lot of names for unicorns.
Yes. And the way he describes them and the way he uses so many different colors for the words white and silver. He makes a point of mentioning how their faces can look different, how they have different physical descriptions. So yes, they are all generally unicorns, but he was specific and he used metaphors and he used similes to make it more a bigger, more variety, so that it wasn't just describing the same thing in the same way over and over and over again.
Yeah. It'd get a little repetitive if they're just like, the unicorn this, the unicorn over there. Look at that unicorn. Look at all the unicorns. You'd be like, okay, what are these? What differentiates these unicorns?
Exactly. And that's what he did a good job with. So if you like unicorns and you don't mind reading the series that starts out as middle grade, Unicorn Chronicles by Bruce Coville, definitely recommend.
So the next one would be touch. I feel like this one would probably be the second most used. Purely because your character, I feel like I use that one, I use a lot.
I say hearing is the second most used because of the dialogue. You are hearing
Oh, that
them
makes
speak.
sense. That's
So
true.
touch, I would say, would be the third.
Okay. That's fair. For me, I'd say they're neck and neck because I do describe touch based things a lot. one, your characters are brushing up against things, they're touching things, and if you're writing smut, you're gonna be talking about people touching, okay? Um, but
Okay.
texture is going to be a big thing, whether it's, I'm not gonna go the smut one, but I want to velvet wrap steel if you want to use
Hell yeah.
metaphors. Or actual velvet, like maybe they're sitting on a crushed velvet couch, or the sheets are silk or satin, or their dress is itchy and scratchy and uncomfortable and they just want to rip it off their body because they just can't stand it. These are all sensory details that you can throw in that most people will be able to empathize with, or not empathize, but be able to know that feeling. Everyone knows the feeling of wearing a shirt that is itchy or something uncomfortable. So sometimes going into those details, one, makes your character more realistic, because there's no way characters are always wearing these crazy fucking outfits all the time and just being perfectly comfortable in everything they wear. You know damn well that that girl that's wearing those 6-inch heels or whatever to work, her feet are gotta be killing her. But no, she's just, I run in my heels and I'm perfect and nothing ever hurts. So giving those sensory details of like feelings in your body, touching things, temperature changes, all of those things will come into play and help bring your characters to life, bring the environment to life around your readers.
And it's not just textures that you're feeling. You did kind of touch on this a little bit, but it's also tension on your body. So like if your character is wearing a corset, they're going to feel that tension around their waist and their
Mm-hmm.
bust. If their boots are tight, they're going to feel that tension where the band of the boots are. So it's not just, what you feel with your fingers or brush up against, it's tension against the body. Um, so eh, nah, it doesn't really apply. Never mind. Um, I was gonna say like tight muscles, but you can kind of. That's not really a touch thing. That's more of a like feeling
It's a
thing.
feeling in your body, but you can still feel it.
Yeah, yeah, okay. So yeah, like tense muscles, like if somebody is really tensed up because they're hunched over a computer for 8 hours a day or a sewing machine. I feel that right now. Um,
Yeah.
so all of those are sensations that would be classified in the literature world, not the scientific world,
Yeah.
under touch.
Mm-hmm.
So you can, so that's something for you to think about as you're writing. It's not just what your character is touching with their hands and their fingertips. Yes, that is the most commonly described thing because that's where most of our nerves are, is in our fingertips. So that is where we often feel the most touch. But your skin has lots of nerves and it can feel a lot.
Like that random hair on your leg that you swear was a spider and you freaked the fuck out. That happened to me earlier
Or like
today.
when your arm brushes against the hair and there's like a hair stuck in the seam of your shirt and you're sitting here digging at it trying to find the damn hair. That didn't happen to me
And
at
I
all
mean,
earlier today.
definitely not. Um, Also, I mean, kind of on the realm of touch, which is more of a feeling, but even like the sensory feelings of your chest tightening or the lump in your throat or your jaw, yeah, like your jaw tenses up so hard your teeth feel like they're going to crack. Your stomach dropping or butterflies. All of those things are senses of sensation of touch, even if they are not physically someone touching someone else. They are still the sensation that someone could feel in their body if they've experienced it. So when you tell someone, "Oh, I got butterflies," most people can relate to that. Everyone has gotten that at some point in their lives. So putting that in again just helps ground the story, brings your readers in. Even if it is not a physical touch sensation, it's still a feeling, although it's not technically touch. So yeah, there's those
Yeah.
two.
But yeah, for sure. And I mean, your teeth grinding. That's another
Ooh,
touch sensation. I hate it. Um,
I don't like that.
I don't like it either. So, and the same thing applies to all of the senses that I mentioned earlier. You may not think there's a lot of different ways to describe touch. There are a lot. Use the resources you have. The internet has lots of similes, just don't use AI. Lots of cinnamon,
Cinnamon? Synonyms. Cinnamon.
synonyms and antonyms. There's a reason we have this.
Thesauruses.
Thank you. Um,
It's okay.
so yes, utilize that. Don't say everything felt like plush velvet. There's more ways of describing that texture than just that. So
Plus, velvet during hot season sucks. Sweaty. Yuck.
unless it's smut. You have used velvet in your smut scenes before for touch. I
I
distinctly
have.
remember a few scenes.
But it was not velvet wrapped steel, I can tell you that
No, it
much.
wasn't that. It wasn't that. I'll give you that. It was not
It
that.
was more like her. You know what? I'm just going to stop there.
Yeah, that's probably a good idea.
If you want to read that, go look at my books, The Order, Unbound,
Specifically, the
etc.
example we're talking about is Unbound.
Yeah, that one is very smut heavy. So they're just constantly doing it. Even I
They
was
are.
shocked when I had to reread it for republication. I was like,
They really are.
damn, they're just constantly doing it. They're like bunnies. Um, so yeah, speaking of bunnies, we could talk about leaving offers for
Wait,
ancestors.
did we mention the change in temperature?
I
I
mentioned
don't
it
remember.
briefly, but we can go into it
Okay.
more if you want.
Well, just real quick, just be aware that a change in temperature is a feeling. So your character is going to change, is going to feel if the temperature suddenly drops, magically or otherwise, if the temperature suddenly rises. Humidity. My
Ooh.
favorite story about humidity. I drove from Maryland to Missouri in one shot. I got in the car in Maryland, got out of the car in Missouri, and felt like I slammed into a brick wall because of the humidity. So there's an example for
Yeah,
you. Uh, the feeling before a storm. Some people can feel it, not just smell it, but actually feel it. Feeling before lightning strikes. That's fun. Electricity. Um,
that would scare me. I don't want to
it
know what
should.
that feels like.
It hurts. I
I would
personally haven't
not want to know.
experienced it, but I've read survivors stories.
Oh,
Um, so yeah, change in temperature can also cause physical reactions that also kind of come with touch. So like the goosebumps, sweating, you're going to feel the sweat pouring down their body. Um, yeah, I just wanted to make sure I kind of touched on those examples so that people knew what we were talking about.
yeah. I always, for humidity, I always tell everyone, I'm like, take a hot, wet blanket and then put it over your face and try and breathe through it. That's what it feels like
Right?
to live in a humid place. It sucks.
Sorry, I just realized I have a massive bruise on my calf and I don't know where it came from.
A
I
ghost
was
is
looking
beating you
like, what
up
the
while you
hell?
sleep.
Oh shit, man.
Is it from martial arts potentially?
I haven't been for a week or so, so it's not from there. I don't know where it came from. Whatever. I probably banged it into something, knowing me.
I was just about to say, there's that ADHD thing where you just walk into random shit and not realizing you're getting bruises everywhere.
Between the ADHD and the hypermobility, yeah, I get hit twice.
Yeah, I could see that. That would make sense.
Anyway,
But yeah, change of temperature is definitely something that is can play a huge role, especially if your characters are constantly outside. No AC in medieval fantasies, which stinks.
there is no such thing as climate control.
No HC, no AC, and no central heating. Yes. So on to witchy tip, which is leaving offerings for your ancestors or deities. We've talked about this before, but because we're talking about sensory details, these could be things that intrigue the senses. You could leave food. You could sing or dance, so they could be movement, touch. Maybe your ancestors really liked fluffy slippers. They enjoyed a good pair of cozy socks. You could leave that as an offering for them. Or maybe they really loved a certain perfume, or they loved incense. Those could be things that you also could leave as offerings. And this goes for, again, deities or ancestors, depending on who you're giving it to. But there are ways that you can what? Include sensory type offerings for those people. Brain. Man, it's like I had a moment to just stop, and then the brain was like, oh, we're done? Okay, we're going to turn off now. The brain cell has left. I don't have it anymore.
Oh God. All right. That's not good because I don't have it either.
No.
Um, the group chat brain cell has vanished.
Yep. Oh no.
Oh no. So yeah, no, leaving an offering for the ancestors and deities. Like Nicole said, it can be a variety of sensory things. If you're leaving food offering, that can appeal to the sense of taste. If you're doing some kind of scent, be it incense, perfume, scented candles, there's your smell. Hearing, sing, singing, or some kind of musical offering, like playing a song specifically for them is something along those lines. So there's all kinds of ways you can incorporate this. And it really just depends on you. I mean, we've said many, many times, witchcraft is the original DIY. It's what feels right to you in that moment. And you know what? Maybe something that you have been doing for years, suddenly something else feels that. You don't have to stick to one thing just because that's what you've been doing. Things change. The energies around us change. The spirits around us change. Sometimes one deity moves out of your life to make room for another one to come in. I've been experiencing that lately. So, yeah, just let yourself be be flexible in what you're doing your offerings in for. Who?
Yeah.
What?
Nope. That made sense to me. I got it. Yeah. I mean, I've even heard of people like literally offering cigarettes because their ancestors or deities smoked. Like, it could be anything, man. Like,
Yeah.
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 Anyways,
No, that's fair.
yeah. So, leave your ancestors and deities offerings that, hell, even things that you like them, they may not like or may not know what it is. Try it. See. You never know. They may love it. But anyways, jumping back into our sensory details, the next would be taste. I touched on this in a different episode, but I loved explaining what my characters are eating, the flavor profiles, and all that good stuff, which I will 100% be adding recipes for my books from now on, because every single time they're cooking something, and I will be putting in recipes. So,
They're
yes.
cooking something.
They are always cooking something, whether it's in the bedroom or in the kitchen. They are tasting stuff all the time. So yeah, there is food. We've also touched on things like, when they lie, it tastes bitter, or, maybe people taste blood in their mouth when they bite something or their lip breaks or whatever. And if you want to get real creative and depending on what you write, if you write smut, you can also mention what they taste like. Mouths are used
Go for that
often, so
full 5 sense immersion experience.
oh yeah. You could really describe everything if you
You
really want
can.
to. So yeah.
Hmm. I mean, I really don't have anything to add to that. I kind of added in the middle of what you were saying. It's the taste, like the most common one that I use because my characters tend to eat travel fare, and it's really boring to describe that. Is usually they taste blood because I have lots of battles. And whether or not they bit their tongue, they busted their lip, or maybe someone's blood sprayed across their face, that's happened too.
Yuck. It happens.
Or dirt. Maybe they face planted in the dirt and they just got a mouthful of dirt or sand if they're in the desert or on the beach. You can combine blood and sand because what if they landed on a cut up seashell? That's fun. Um,
Oh,
you can go
fun.
all kinds of places with taste. So it seems like it's limited to just food, and that is the most obvious way and most common way that people see it. And a lot of times, some of the situations we're describing, people don't even realize that we're talking about taste because it's such a natural experience. I
Hmm.
think that's kind of your goal. You don't want your readers to be like, oh, she means da 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 da. You want the reader to be like, oh, this is part of the story. This is how I can feel the story. This is how I can taste the story. You want that flow to keep going. You don't want them knocked out of the story because you suddenly put a weird sensory thing into the smut. I don't know.
I mean, someone might like that. You never know what people are into. Um, Also another one, which yes is taste, but not necessarily food. Potions. What do potions taste like? If you are using magic, what if you're like them using magic has a taste? Like maybe you can always taste cinnamon when someone is using fire magic nearby, or I don't know, or the potion itself has a flavor that maybe it's tangy, maybe it's bitter, maybe it sticks to the roof of their mouth like peanut butter, or those type of things you can explain that sometimes may be unpleasant. I mean, man, you could tell them it tastes like a dirty sock. Like, gross. But it could. Not everything you have to take, I mean, tastes nice. So, medicine is a great example of that. Potions would be the same. So, magic could have a taste, a feel, whatever. So, you could always do that as well.
If you're searching for ways to describe taste and you're not big on just thumbing through thesauruses trying to find, if you want to like kind of process that naturally, I'm going in a weird direction with this, but trust me, go to the People versus Food channel because they are constantly tasting different types of food. And if you go to the ones where they are delivering punishments, it's not always good. So you get that bad tasting and how they describe it. And the reactors, they actually have chosen really good people who are very eloquent, who can describe what they're tasting in ways that you can kind of figure out, like, hey, that sounds like a food that I might want to try in the future. Or, oh, wow, I always wondered what that tasted like in the movies. Now I know, you know? Um, so yeah, kind of a weird suggestion, but if you're looking for that, because I actually have probably really increased my knowledge of food and different ways of flavor profiles and tasting because I have been binging People versus Food.
Yeah.
Yes, I watch it to laugh, but I have this side effect going of it.
There's a knowledge that comes along with it.
And it genuinely does help to like the nasty foods that they eat. The way they describe it you're like, ooh, that's disgusting. But as an author, I'm like, ooh, that's a good word.
Yeah. The other one I would say would be good for that is watching, especially if you're trying to write things that taste good, or, I mean, even gross. Um, Food challenge like TV shows, things like Chopped or Hell's Kitchen, where they're literally breaking down flavor profiles, things that taste. Textures is also going to be another one that you could use, which will bring in the touch aspect because texture is a real big thing in certain foods. So those are things that you could use together. But those would, I think, would also be a great place to see how to describe things that people are eating or may not want to be eating. So, yeah.
If you want a serious cooking show, yes, go do that. If you want to just laugh your ass off, go watch People versus Food and their food challenges.
100%. Yes. I've watched theirs and it's hilarious. So I can't tell them not to watch it. Um, and yes, obviously there is smut. We won't go into detail in it, but you can use flavors and the way things taste. Maybe it's sweet, maybe it's tangy, make it be it tastes like freaking copper pennies. Use your imagination. I don't know. When it's that time of the month and they don't fear blood.
That's where I was going with it.
Vampires gotta eat sometimes too.
I'm really glad I didn't take a drink yet.
You would have had water all over your computer. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe it tastes like flowers. Maybe it tastes like a cinnamon roll. I don't know. Be creative. Especially when you start getting into monster smut, man. That can taste...
Yeah, that's true.
I've seen ones that taste like pumpkin spice creamer. Okay? So, maple syrup. I don't know. You can get crazy with it. So yeah. Go nuts with that one. But next, sorry. Oh my god. Vampires got it.
That was your fault. That was all your fault.
You know what? I'm not the only one that has thought of that because there is a book that has that in it, okay? I know because I've seen it. I haven't read it, but I've seen it. Oh my god. Okay.
Nicole is crying. Just
I'm literally... That's so funny. Okay.
All right.
Anyways,
we're focused.
We're a serious podcast here, guys.
Hell yeah.
We are professionals. Anyways, on to smell.
Right.
My brain went to smut again because of that. Let's not think of that smell.
No, let's not. Let's pass.
Let's not. Smell could be another one. Maybe if they're traveling, they suddenly smell a campfire in the distance. You good?
That was my hair stuck to the bottom of my bottle.
Oh, I just see you look real serious and I was like, are you conjuring something? What is happening?
Whee! Yeah, hair.
So maybe your characters are traveling through a forest and they suddenly smell a fire. That could be a good thing or a bad thing. Or maybe they, can smell water. Because water does have a smell. They can smell the moisture. They can smell moss. They're like, okay, we're getting close to somewhere that has water. Or maybe it's a perfume. We love to describe the way a character smells. They smell like cinnamon and leather. Or they smell like lavender or vanilla. So that is another way that you can describe scents, is the way your characters smell. Or maybe they're passing by a bakery and you can smell the croissants that have been baking for an hour and it's filling the street. You name it, there is a scent that you could throw in there to help immerse your readers.
Yeah. And I mean, smells can also be a symptom of something. There are some illnesses, chronic illnesses, especially out there, where you're suddenly smelling something that no one else is smelling, and that's because your brain is doing jacked up shit in your head to make you smell this. So you're in a fantasy world, you can make your own diseases. Like, okay, it's not a disease, but in the October Day series by Shannon McGuire, everyone's magic when they do magic smells like something.
That's interesting.
So October Days smells like blood and fresh cut grass, I think. Like
That's a
she has
combination.
a different smell profile for every single character that does magic in these, and this is a huge series of books. So yeah. Do I have that up right now so you can kind of see? No, you can't really see it. Can you? No, you can't. Okay.
Underneath the lamp
Um, yeah, it's the one
or behind the
underneath the
lamp?
lamp. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, be creative with the smells, That's also be aware that scent memory is one of the strongest memories people have. And even if you don't realize it, if you smell something that is familiar and you associate it with a person, maybe someone just got called out of hiding because they got smelled. They
I
had
smell them.
the scent. Yeah, exactly. Um, so even humans can smell stuff. Not necessarily as strong as dogs or other four-legged critters, but yeah. So just keep that in mind. That is something you since like when someone leaves a room and you're like, oh, someone just left the room. I smelled white diamonds as they left. I don't know.
Oh,
That's
oh, don't wear that perfume. It's so strong. Oh, Lord.
there's a reason that they smelled it because they left the room because it was so strong. Um,
Yeah.
so yeah, something like that. So just keep that in mind when you are. It's not just food and flowers that have scent. Yes, those tend to be the stronger of the scent profiles. Blood has a scent. Vomit has a scent. It's
Yep.
nasty as fuck, but it's a scent.
Yeah.
Um, Different dirts smell differently. And yes, humans can differentiate if they are aware of it. So just
Mm-hmm.
because you as a person yourself can't differentiate, that doesn't mean your characters can't. So that's something that you can put into your books, especially if your character is like a ranger who is in the woods all the time. They're going to be able to smell the different trees and tell you what
Mm-hmm.
tree it is based off of that, or what animal's shit that is that just left it behind. So,
I mean, that's true.
so yeah, it's something to remember to incorporate into your stories.
Yeah. Also, there is a more, not metaphorical, there is another sense of smell that you could use, especially if you're doing things like monsters or whatever. They can smell fear. They can smell anxiety. They can smell if you're sad or angry or your arousal. There are all kinds of scents that they could smell.
Called pheromones. It's not just arousal, but fear, anxiety, all of those are
Yeah.
pheromones put out by the human body.
Well, yeah. That's the overall category. I was just going into like different feelings.
That's fair. That's fair.
So there is that too. That is also considered smell. So keep that in mind. Like maybe your vampire can smell, I don't know, when she's happy. That would be kind of crazy. Or when she's all of a sudden upset. Like the scent changes because, like you said, pheromones, hormones, pheromones, whatever, things change. It can make you smell different. So, and
Mhm.
I know we've talked about that before. So That would be another one for smell. Hearing, which you said would probably be the most second used, because you're going to hear people talking. You're going to hear noises, branches snapping, leaves crunching, people chatting in the background, or maybe you're trying not to be heard and you're tiptoeing and then that board creaks. Those are the type of details that help draw readers in and really immerse them in being that character or being with that character if you're doing third person. Um, so that sense of smell really helps with flushing out the story, making it feel more real.
Yeah, and it's also things that you don't think about at first. And one of the examples I have for this comes from the 1993 Three Musketeers movie with Oliver Platt and Charlie Sheen and Kiefer Sutherland. There's a scene where they're all hungover as hell, riding down the road, and D'Artagnan goes, "Would you please stop whistling? You're killing my head." And Porthos goes, "I'm not whistling." And Aramis is like, "I hear a tune." And it's a cannonball because it was a whistling cannonball. Yes, there was a long explanation for that, but it was a cannonball whistling through the air. So that kind of motion through the air creates sound waves.
Yeah.
So that's something that you can hear, as well as buzzing, a fly buzzing near their ear.
Your phone vibrating on a desk, if we want to go
Yeah, exactly.
buzzing noises.
There we go. So yeah, it's more than just people talking or things moving on solid ground. It's also stuff moving through the air does create sound waves. So that's something to think about when you're describing sound. My brain just went.
Also, things like when, on the same line of not hearing things that are necessarily moving, your ears ringing because something just happened. Whether you're in shock, a gunshot, after a really loud concert, your ears are ringing for hours after. So those are type of things that can happen. Or if you hear the blood rush in your head, that's another one. So these are also things that you could hear that no one else could really hear unless you're in their body. Maybe your stomach growls. If it's loud enough, everyone can hear that. And they're like, man, you need to eat. Or if you're Feyre, you know, you're running to the toilet. That's also going to make noise.
Also, another thing, if you're writing in contemporary fantasy, be aware electricity does have a sound.
Oh,
Refrigerators have a sound. Electric lights, the long, I can't think of them right now, the fluorescents have a sound. I actually was talking to a friend the other day, and he was like, I get so frustrated because he just gets hit with overstimulation for like half an hour from all the electricity around him. And it's not like you can just shut all this stuff off in today's day and age. Even if you do, you're still going to hear it from across the street, your next door neighbors. Unless you're in the middle of nowhere, you can't just shut off your refrigerator.
Unless you're at a power outage.
Oh yeah, that's fair. That's just dead silence. That's what that is.
Yeah. I love it. I'm like, oh, peace, quiet. It's so nice.
Yeah.
Like, who wants to play
that's something to think about when you're in contemporary, and that's also something to think about when you are in sci-fi, because sci-fi tends to have a lot of technology, and I doubt it's all dead silent.
Yeah. Probably not. Yeah. Also, one that I did just think of is the silence. Sometimes that silence is very loud, even when it isn't.
Mm-hmm.
Like, sometimes that silence can feel overwhelming, stifling. Like, there's literally, someone had created a room that was so soundproof that you couldn't spend more than an hour in it without yourself going bananas. I don't know why they would want to create that room, but it is there. And it, like, they even hold challenges and stuff. Like, how long can you sit in the room? Most people don't make it past 15, 20 minutes. But Yeah. So there's that. The silence can be enough to overwhelm your hearing senses. So that's another one that you could play with. That's a little fun. I would not want to be in that kind of silence though. That would not be fun.
And another thing also to think about is noises that you don't, I kind of mentioned this with the electricity, but like repetitive noises that you don't think about at first that kind of create a hypnotic effect. If you've ever been around someone with a spinning wheel, the whir of the wheel as it goes. If you ever been around someone who is sewing on a sewing machine, that's of the machine as it
Clocks.
goes.
Like the
Yeah.
ticking of an actual clock. That's another one.
Analog clock. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so those kind of background noises that are you can hear it, but your brain has been like legit. Some people don't hear the electricity. That's kind of someone that gets overstimulated easily, more easily than normal, neurotypical. Um, but what neurotypicals will train themselves to not listen to are those repetitive white noise background noises. So that's something that you can think about to bring into your story. And your readers may not even notice, but it may like set the tone of the story for what room or environment they're in. And they don't even realize it until they're already there.
Yeah. Um, and there is the point that all of these sensations could all be hallucinations. These could all be in their head. Maybe they are on a bad acid trip, mushrooms. It could be anything. And that could really trip a reader up if all of a sudden they're feeling things and seeing things and hearing things that aren't really there. That's where I would say that's probably like thriller, horror stuff, but it's there and it can be used.
The first season of The Legend of Vox Machina, Keyleth and Vexalia both get sprayed by this cloud and they go high as fuck. And the way they portray it in this animation is disgusting, but absolutely amazing and
Mm-hmm.
true. And I I have never been down that particular road before, and after seeing what they did, I don't want to.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
There's also a game that has recently come out, and it takes place in a South American forest. And basically, the forest is cursed. So the longer you're there, the more you start to hallucinate. And you start doing and seeing things that aren't really there. So this game is like a super huge trip. I cannot remember what it's called for the life of me. But like next thing you know, you think you're getting attacked by something, and in reality, it's your teammate, and you end up killing them, and you're like, oh fuck, I didn't mean to do that. The other one that comes to mind, since you mentioned D&D, is Legend of Adventurous. They have this clip where they're like, how many deviled eggs did you eat? And she's like, like 7. She's like, drugs hit your system. And they're like, oh, look at all the mice in the carpet. And they're like, what mice in the carpet? Like, they even start doing like the voices to make the characters sound different. It's hilarious. So if you haven't seen that clip, go look it up. It's funny, especially with the little animations that they do for it. Hilarious. So yeah, hallucinations can really mess up a character and really trip up your reader if you want to do that kind of mind bending scenario in writing. It would definitely be interesting.
yeah,
So yeah.
yeah, it'd be a challenge.
Mm-hmm. So I believe that brings us to the end of this episode. And would bring us to book reviews. I did actually finish a book.
Woohoo!
I did it! It was a physical book. Where is it? I don't know.
The book trophy escaped.
The book trophy. Here. So, do you want to go first or me?
I'll go first because then we can end on a better note with yours.
Oh, okay. Okay.
because mine was a nonfiction, and we all know what kind of nonfiction I've been reading lately.
Oh, sad
Um,
ones.
so I read an autobiography called A Delayed Life, The True Story of the Librarian of, so sorry if I say it wrong. I should know how to say it right by now, and I still don't. Auschwitz.
Auschwitz. Yeah.
Yeah. By Dita Kraus. Um, so apparently there was another book written called The Librarian of, uh, yeah. And I have not read that one, so I don't know the comparisons in this. But this was Dita Kraus's story as a um Jewish teenager during World War II and her experiences in the concentration camps and what happened after. Because that was some, like, don't get me wrong, the concentration camp was absolutely horrid and repellent. And I'm not going to go into any further. You all know what I'm talking about. But what happened after, too? She has to go home with no documentation of who she is, where she was born, who her parents are, what citizenship she has, and what country. She has to go through all of these processes just to get all of that information back in her life. And that whole process, as well as going back to school, she lost 4 years of her life that she wasn't educated, and she had to go back to school and restart some of this education. So the delayed life is kind of, once you get past the World War II era of her life, is about her trying to move forward with her life and encountering all of these delays and how she overcomes them and moves forward. And it's, I mean, I know they're all sad, but she has a hell of a life.
Yeah.
And somehow she's still optimistic at the end of the book. And it's amazing.
Yeah.
So this is a really powerful, if you can handle reading about the concentration camps of World War II, really powerful book, really hammers in the long-term consequences of what happened, not just the immediacy of what happened
Yeah.
during that era. So, and I'll leave it at that. I do not have the book with me because I had to give it back to the library.
That's fair. Use your libraries.
Exactly.
So I read House of Hunger by Alexis Henderson. It is a standalone, and it follows Marion Shaw, who lives in the slums of Praine and is just fed up with living the worst possible life you could think, right? Like working for someone that doesn't treat you right, making barely enough money to put food on the table, your brother who's basically using your money for drugs and squandering what you have and living in awful conditions, and sees a way out by becoming a blood maid to the House of Hunger, which has a very notorious reputation. I really like this book. It kept me intrigued. I read it in less than 2 weeks, so that's pretty fast for me lately with physical books. I wasn't expecting a fully super duper fleshed out book because this book is only 288 pages. Like, she could have gone into more detail about people say that there's a magic system. I don't see a magic system in this at all. The fact that, yes, they're technically a vampire, but I don't see magic. They don't display magic in any way, shape, or form. So I would almost classify this as a gothic horror and not anything fantasy related. But I know some people are saying it's like a gothic fantasy with magic. And I'm like, the magic was nowhere to be seen, if that's the case. But it also shows the contrast between the poor and struggling to get by and them thinking money can fix everything, and then the rich having all the money and still having crazy odds against them, and the way their lives are far more cutthroat than just poverty, if that makes sense. Because there's a lot of scheming and between houses, because that's like a thing. There's like 4 distinct houses, and there's 8 others, but most of them are gone bankrupt or don't have money. And they're like one of the last houses that have anything to their name. Turns out the main lady is a monster, and not in a magical sense. So if you like dark gothic type books, and I would say it's horror, not crazy horrific, but I don't write the lightest stuff either. So this might be like a legit horror to some people. To me, I thought this was like decent horror. I don't know. It was like PG-13 horror for me. But it was good. I liked it. It kept me moving. I kind of saw where it was going towards the end. I had inklings, proved I was right, but it took me a while to get to the conclusion of how this ended. But overall, the writing was great. I didn't really see any major issues, which is probably why I could just keep reading really easily. So, yeah, I recommend it. It was a good little spooky read. I liked it.
Cool. All right.
Yay.
Yay.
So that brings us to the end of our episode. You can find us at writingwithwitches.com. You can email us at writingwithwitches@gmail.com. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, Blue Sky, YouTube, and TikTok, although we are not active on TikTok. And we have a Discord server as Writing with Witches. If you want to join and hang out with us and chit chat, we're there. And you can find me at authornicoleautumn.com. I'm on all the aforementioned social medias as author Nicole Autumn, except Instagram, Nicole Autumn author. Yes, I always have to mention it because it still grinds my gears. And yeah, make sure you're signing up for our newsletters. And I also have a Discord, so sign up so you can get all the juicy tidbits and infos and stuff. So yeah. Leona?
You're going to be able to find me at leonaurbanskiauthor.com. And I am on Facebook and Instagram as Leona Urbanski Author. You can also sign up for my Substack at leonaurbanskiauthor.substack.com. You can find both of us at mythweaverbooks.com. We are also on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok with that. That's also where you're going to find the audio short stories that we have previously published on the Writing with Witches website, is on the Mythweavers YouTube. You can go there, buy our books, buy our merch, sign up for the newsletter, be an ARC reader, multiple other things that you can do. Go check out the website. It's really awesome.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah, brother. I had to. So yeah, next week we will be covering spice levels and their content in not super explicit detail because we still are on YouTube and there are still guidelines to follow. So stick around for next week, I guess. We hope you have a wonderful week. Thank you all for watching and or listening, and we will see you next time. Bye.
Bye.